Hi guys, Fuzzy Dan here from Check-In Not Noob. I'm here today to talk to you about a game called Disintegration. Start off, special shout out to Private Division. Thanks very much for giving us the key to review this game. This game is a first-person shooter. I'm going to give the description here. It's a sci-fi first-person shooter combining first-person FPS and real-time strategy elements. Now, essentially you play as a bunch of robots, or one guy specifically, a guy called Romashol. He's a grav cycle pilot. Now, if you don't know what a grav cycle is, don't worry. It's essentially a floating... It is what it is. It's a floating... motorcycle, I suppose, with guns. You basically go around in this FPS mode and you control a squad of other robot android people to destroy whatever else is out there. They talk about some strategy elements in the description of the game. Yes, there are. Basically, you are acting as a commander for all of these units. So you tell them where to go, you tell them who to target. There are a lot of things in the world that you can heal them up, you can move them behind cover, you can focus them on different areas, and you're really going to need to, because this game talks about being an FPS, and yes, you do have double guns on this grav cycle, but realistically, you don't actually do a lot of damage within the game. So these guns are kind of like just auto pistols or like very low powered SMGs. They kind of do, they will do enough damage on some of the lower tier enemies, some of the destructible environments like oil barrels and power cells and all the rest of it that are lying around. They'll blow those up, but when you're when you're shooting down these enemies, they really don't do enough damage to make a big difference. So you're going to really need to rely on the units that you control to do all the work for you. So you direct them to target specific characters, to move into specific zones, to launch some of their special powers that they have. So they've got special abilities such as like stun grenades or stasis fields, and also actual grenades to do damage. And they will move around and do all of that interacting work for you. If you leave them to their own devices, they will target different characters. But the real damage that you're going to see is when you get them to sort of group assault one particular unit. And that's where you want them to focus on. So essentially it's more management than it is, or unit management than it is actual FPS. Even though that's obviously the view that you take. Now, what happens is, your characters will get shot down, die, but because they are these sort of android units, you essentially recover their consciousness, or recover like a data chip essentially, by going close to where they've fallen, and they are restored into a new body. So they'll come back after a short cooldown period. So there is some interesting elements to it as far as that's concerned, but you'll spend more of your time in this game, or you should probably spend more time in this game managing the units themselves, as opposed to doing a lot of that sort of FPS kind of stuff that you'd normally want to do. We're having a look here at one of the sort of early game, like end level scenes where you have to take down this particular big bad MacGuffin. And it's a lot of grinding. Like, you're grinding through, and here you go. I mean, you look at some of the damage that I'm doing against this one sniper unit. It takes a really long time to shoot down anything. But again, that's just part of, I suppose, how it's working. I had a lot of fun playing this game. Like, there's a lot of interesting challenges to it. I think there was a lot of frustration because I wanted to be that lead unit rather than just like a unit commander. And I would have liked to have seen, you can as well upgrade some of the guns and become more powerful as the game goes on, as it progresses. But I think there's a frustration element to this. Like, you want to be a bigger badass, and you should probably be a bigger badass early on. But the way the game's set, you kind of just shoot and run and hide and let the other guys do the work for you. And that's a new element to this style of game. So take it or leave it. I think that's something that you will have to get used to if you're into this game. As I said, there are opportunities to upgrade your gear in between missions. So there is options, and I'm sure late game you will be much stronger. But there is I suppose, a learning curve as you're getting adjusted to controlling this grav cycle and how that operates within the environment. So that's Disintegration. Again, thank you very much to Private Division for giving us the early access to this one. It's out now. It's available on Steam. It's on Xbox. It's on PlayStation as well. So you can check it out on any of those platforms. A different take on FPS. So if you're into something, if you're trying to look at something different, something you haven't seen before, it's definitely something you should check out, and adds a bunch of different elements to the game. I've been Fuzzy Dan, and reminding you to check out all of our other Shaken Not Noob channels. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. We are also podcasting, so we'll talk about this on our podcast at great length, so you can come and check us out on that podcast via Shaken Not Noob.